Oh.
Very
Yeah?
bright. Very bright.
What? No. Yeah.
No, it's good.
I mean, the back looked kind of blown out.
No, that looks gonna.
Is that better?
Okay.
Do you like it better with it on? I don't think it really matters.
Yeah. That's good.
You like it off? Yeah, leave it off. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. Hope you guys have had a spectacular day so far and this joyous Monday that is... Hey, we're matchies.
We are.
I didn't know that. Just figured it out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Look who it is. Hey, Dave. What's up, Frank?
Frank. What's
Off
up?
is better. Off is better. Okay, there. This is what I'm trying to get to.
Hey.
What's up, Mr. Marty? Mr. Marty Dean.
That's right.
Cicada. He works for Cicada now. Yeah. Just get him in and he can tell us the story of Cicada at some point.
Yeah, that would be great.
That'd be fun. Let's say about Abbott and Costello of the car audio sometimes. Yeah. I mean, I could see that. Living Loud with Andy.
What's up?
I like the shirts. He's got a pretty cool shirt. That logo, the little Cookie Monster thing. He has that in a shirt and like a pillow and a banner and all that. It's pretty cool. So, what's going on? Yes, let's do it. Next time you're in town or we're in the same area, which would be good. Dean, are you a fan of Dean Martin? Who isn't a fan of Dean Martin? I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, how could you not be a fan of Dean Martin? What should the Subsonic be set to on an amp? Also, what is the best combo amp and sub out on the market on a low budget? Now, there's some math that you can do to actually figure out your subsonic filter with your tuning frequency and all of this nonsense it's not nonsense, but all of these things. All of that aside, I typically go somewhere between 20 to 25. That's it. The idea behind a subsonic filter is that it will make your amplifier more efficient because your subwoofer is not trying to reproduce frequencies that it can't do, so that that just basically turns into heat, and the subwoofer just heats up. The amplifier doesn't run as efficiently. So some amplifiers already have it built in. Some give you an adjustment. Basically, at the end of the day, it's a high-pass filter. If you didn't, they call it a subsonic just because they wanted to name it something, but it's a high-pass filter for your subwoofer. So essentially what you're doing is you're creating a bandpass for the subwoofer. Every speaker, if you hadn't really thought about it, actually has a bandpass crossover, meaning a bottom and a top on it. All of them do. Your subwoofer has one, your mid-bass has one, your mid-range has one, and believe it or not, even the tweeter has one, because your tweeter is going to naturally roll off at some point, and or the device that you're using will automatically stop it from making any more sound, because then it just turns into noise. So it's crazy, right? I know. But hello, car audio party people. Oh, it's Mr. Bennett in the house.
That's right.
What's happening? All right. Well, before we get too deep into this, let's take a look at the Facebook. So we have the 12-volt clean wire club. Here we go. So the winner of the week. Let me zoom in just a little bit here. Ooh, look at that. Who's this?
This is Bill 13.
Okay.
That's yeah.
It's very clean, very organized.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
cool.
it. Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we know what kind of amps those are?
That's his amplifiers.
Those are his amplifiers?
Yeah, he made those amplifiers.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So what is his name? Bill?
Bill 13.
So these are Bill amps?
Bill 13 amplifiers.
These are Bill 13. Check it 1, 2. Good question. Any guests on the horizon? Actually, yes. So Brian Schmidt wants to come on sometime this week. I think I'm going to do a late night with him and just have him on. We're going to talk about some stuff. As far as, so here's a funny one. Like you guys, we could have more guests, but you guys don't exactly do well when we do guests. You guys get kind of like, oh, why do we have guests? So that's why we kind of like I know we kind of did a lot of guests in one period, but no, we could have a ton of guests on. It's just a matter of, what guests do you guys want? I mean, we know everybody. We could call whoever you guys want to have on the show. If there's a topic, we can get somebody here to talk about it. But I guess it's open to you guys as far as what kind of guests would you guys like to have on? Because
what content, yeah.
Yeah, what would you like to have us have someone on to talk about? We're going to get Brian here. So we have Brian Mitchell going to come on here in a week or so and talk about PCM Pro right there by my ear, right there. Anyways, we're going to get Brian Piper on from Diamond Soren Vega to talk about their DSP. So we got DSP talk. We know you guys love DSP talk.
We can bring Chris Bennett.
Chris Bennett would love to come on and talk about Museway.
Yeah.
Obviously, Marty Dean would love to come in and talk about Cicada. So it's just, we could get her. I mean, why not? That's not a bad, so Hi-Fi does on his channel, he and I do 5-minute phone-ins where everyone gets 5 minutes to talk and say whatever they want.
Whatever they want?
Well, they can ask a question.
Okay.
They get 5 minutes to ask a question and we get to answer it.
Okay.
That might be something we can do just to have some fun. We could do that one day.
If you subscribe to
just see how it goes. That could be a Patreon thing too, because I'd love to get back into doing more stuff with Patreon.
Lance. You can have Lance.
Lance, we could have Lance. Yep. What's crack-a-lackin', Lance Doss, the boss? Where do you get your individual speaker wire? Ellie, not speaker wire. Okay. So it's primary wire is what we're using when I'm assuming you're talking about the twisted wire that we do. We use a couple different. We use both Stinger and Metra wire.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the coolest wires I got to play with when I was in Canada is Wires with a Z. Their wire is really nice because it actually will stay twisted,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a ton more colors that are really cool. How about Matt Schaefer? That's not a bad idea. He works a ton, and he likes to do things later at night. But, yeah, we can talk to him, get him on, see if he wants to come. Joseph Norton, tech support, 2023. Yeah, no, and there again, instead of getting Chris on, let's get Joseph on. I think that would be a better move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not bad. Hold on, what is it? I'm new, set 200 stars to send a comment. How do I do that? Just make a comment. If it's a good question, we'll get to it. That's kind of how it works. All right, so here we go. I use Wires brand for the last 8 years. It's awesome. There you go. Exactly. Glowing reviews. He's a really nice guy too. Got to meet the owner. I always like meeting the owner of a company. Kind of sets the groundwork for what's to happen. I like his remote turn on.
Okay.
He also has some unique little products here and there that are kind of cool. I think it's hard to be like a wire manufacturer, because they want you to have everything. Like you got to have RCAs, and it's like, I feel like you don't. I feel like you should just pick something you're really good at,
Mm-hmm.
but I get it. I get why you always want to have everything, because it's like, why would I not?
Right. But you don't have to.
And there's Marty chiming in. Wires is my go-to for primary wire. Yeah, I got to find somebody who does it here. I'll see you guys in Indy. This is true. We will be in Indy. So we can hook up there.
Indy.
Can you explain dynamic EQ? I've heard that you can't correct that signal. All right. So dynamic EQ is so there's a couple different things that could confuse you when thinking about dynamic EQ. Dynamic EQ is really a cool way of saying loudness. All right. So if you've ever had a Pioneer Kenwood JVC radio, there's a loudness button in it. And what the loudness button does is it boosts bass and treble at lower volumes. But as the volume goes up, it rolls off, thus dynamic. Now, that's not to be confused with drive EQ, which is where that's the volume compensation that you have from the factory, whereas you speed up, the volume gets louder, and you slow down, the volume gets quieter. That you can turn on and off. Dynamic EQ, all right, so AccuBass is designed to fix, and fix is a wrong word, but interact, did you say interact? Interact with dynamic EQ. And the thought is, if you go and Google loudness, all right, and there's two guys back in the 70s that invented it, and it's built, it's an EQ curve built around your ear, and as voltage increases, it goes down, basically because the volume gets up, it goes down, because the mid-range, everything catches up as we get louder. If with AccuBass being used, what it's designed to do is as the volume goes up, the bass just kind of plateaus. It doesn't really. It just stops going up as loud, as much as the mid and treble. So it just stops, it plateaus. Two reasons. One, it's to keep the speaker from being blown, but it's also to make it sound louder at lower volumes. So AccuBass is designed as you're adjusting it to look at that voltage and you dial it in. So when it sees that voltage, it goes, oh, and it keeps the bass going up. So instead of it doing that, where it's like it goes up, it goes up, it goes up, and it does this, it's not really going flat. It's just not going up as steep as it was. AccuBass comes in and adds, that's that patent that AccuBass has. So can you fix it? No. Can you integrate with it? Yes, using AccuBass. But dynamic, now some DSPs now have dynamic EQ built into it, which is cool because it allows you to create your own dynamic range so that you can actually, there again, I love loudness. I think loudness is great. I like when I listen to it at low volumes that it still has some impact to the music. Whereas when you turn it up, it just everything gets loud, but loudness rolls off, which is great. That's why when you combine an aftermarket radio with a DSP, couple things. One, you get loudness if the DSP doesn't have dynamic EQ built into it. Two, you get a global EQ, which allows you to go in and have a lot of fun with doing presets, to where you don't have to adjust 10,000 things and you can really tailor it to what you're trying to listen to. So those are two things I like about aftermarket radios with DSP. Hey, Dean, what's the travel schedule for April? How long is Haley and how is Haley healing? Middle of the month, I think 13th through the 16th. I'll be out of town. He'll be here. Haley's doing good. She's able to shower and wash her arm now, which is pretty exciting. So I guess you want Jeff Smith on again. How do you guys determine the FS of your speakers to determine the crossover points used in a DSP? We have a cool tool that does it for us. So Steve Mead makes the, what is it called? That's really SMD something. You got it right there. ISG1.
ISMG.
Yeah. So
IMSG.
So that's what this device is used for. Yeah, the IM-SG Plus. This is the new one. But no, this will allow you to figure out what the FS of the speaker is by playing a tone through the speaker. So that's how we do it. The other thing too is depending on the manufacturer, you can always call them and ask if they don't list it in their owner's manual. I know Morel, Casey loves to talk about crossover points when you talk to him on the phone because he'll figure out what it is, where they're mounted.
Hertz does that. Addison does that.
Yeah. A lot of manufacturers will talk to you about your crossover points just because they don't want you to blow their speakers. Yeah. So Speaking of crossover points, we need to pull up a. All right, I'm gonna do this one right here. Oh, look at that! Oh, that's so cool. K2 Power M Profile Focal. Need I say more? I need to say more. This is the new line of speakers. For those of you guys that are familiar with K2 Power, that's the Kevlars. My favorite thing for saying is you haven't experienced anything until you've experienced the K2 Power. K2. Yeah. Now we have the Power M's. It is a whole new thing built off of the Utopia M platform.
And no, he's not gonna bring the speakers.
No, I'm not gonna bring the speakers. The only thing
normally when you get out, like, let me bring
this is the cone here. This is the wafer that is. This is the Kevlar cone. They gave us one. They signed it. Fernando's got one too. This is the guy who designed it. But these are super sexy.
His name is Giuliano.
If you're looking for a super amazing new speaker to really pimp your ride, head over to focalamerica.com. If anything, just go over and check them out because some of the technology they put in this speaker is simply breathtaking. Yeah. And you guys like to know things, so definitely want to check out focalamerica.com. The new K2 Power Amps. Question. I didn't get to answer that question. Oh, living life. What's up, Haley? There you go.
All right.
Okay. Question. What amps would you recommend from Audio Control or Kenwood for a 2022 GMC Denali with Bose speakers? 9-speaker system. 2, 4, 6, 7. Oh, it's a Denali? So that must be the... Okay. Okay. So here's the thing. Metra makes the adapter for this car, basically like the Amp Pro for the GMC. It doesn't say 2022, but it should work 2022. There is a flaw built into it, as we found out. It's great. It sounds amazing. However, it's one of those things where every now and then you have to unplug it, plug it back in to reset it. As we're finding out, is it worth it? Probably, because it sounds amazing. In lieu of that, if you have a 9-speaker stereo, chances are good it's Bose, you're going to have 9 outputs, which is kind of a problem when it comes to audio control because audio control only makes the DM810, which is only 8 inputs, not 9 inputs, okay? You need a DSP. You need some way to equalize it, so to speak. What you'd probably end up doing is a DM810. You're going to need let's say at least an LC 1.800 for the subwoofer, which is probably going to have to just come after the sub. That is if you decide not to do the Metra piece. Mm-hmm. So that would be on its own. And then you'd need 8 channels of audio for the rest of it. I would probably just do 2 LC 4.800s.
Okay.
So 2 LC 4.800s and an LC 1.800 on a DM810. I would run the sub just off of the factory sub right into it. And then the other 8 channels I'd run into the DM810. And then I would just put them out into that. Mm-hmm. That would be how I would tackle that if I'm going to go audio control. I just bought a 2023 F-150 non-BO. What's a great speaker for replacement? If it's non-BO, I'm guessing it's just a 2-way up front, which is a 6x9 and tweeter. 6x9 tweeter. What do you think? F-150?
F-150. You can do the plug and plays.
If you're looking for something simple, you can do the Focal plug and plays. Yep. If you're looking for something a little bit more exciting, Alpine has the new R-Type 6x9s. Morel has a set of 6x9 components like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No highs, no lows. Must be Bose. I tell you what, you got 9 speakers in there. It's got something going on. I have a 2022 Honda Accord 12-inch sub in the trunk. I took the OEM subwoofer on the rear deck lid, and that hole is the port. Should I aim my subwoofer speaker towards the trunk lid or front? Well, I wouldn't aim it towards the trunk lid. I still would aim it back, but it's going to be weird. Like, that's going to be weird because, yeah, it's the
on
port.
the rear deck.
Well, yeah, I get you're putting the port up through there, but I mean, that's going to be weird. I don't know how that's going to work out. You're going to have to play with that, man. That's never worked out when I've done that. Maybe a bandpass would be a better move. Like if you could do a bandpass where, like a, single reflex bandpass and then tunnel all the output of the subwoofer into the rear deck, that would make more sense than just what you're thinking. I don't know if the woofer you have could work on a bandpass, but that'd be cool. I mean, we used to do that years ago, many years ago. Is there a way to add backup camera to my head unit, as I also have a backup camera that is displayed in my rearview mirror? Can I tie into my other camera and have it display on my head,
Head unit.
Okay, so really what's missing from this is what kind of head unit is it? Is it a factory head unit? What kind of car? Like, if it's an aftermarket radio, yeah, you could take the one from the mirror and put it in there. You can add a second one. If it's a factory radio, no, you're not going to get the video from the camera into the factory radio. That's why it's in the visor or the mirror. So, if it is an aftermarket radio, there's plenty. Like PAC makes devices to allow you to get. If you got one input, you can turn it into as many as you want. But if it's a factory radio, no, it wouldn't even be cost effective.
No.
Hello, gentlemen. My question is, which mid-range fits in the dashboard of a 2012 Tundra? Looking at the Morel, Audison, and Hertz. You want that smaller 2-inch. That's what's going to go in there. So you need the 2-inch driver. So the Morel and the Audison use the identical basket. So it's going to be one of those two.
All right.
Good evening, gentlemen. I got an Audio Control LC 1500. The only thing that annoys me is the fact that it has a standard subsonic filter at 24 hertz. I really have it playing. Okay. I really would have it playing to lower. Okay, yeah. So it has that built into it. 24 hertz. Yep, that's typical audio control. They build it in to keep the amplifier efficient, and to keep you from blowing subwoofers. Yeah. You're not the only one, though. It's one of those things that like in the epicenter, they give you the ability now to turn that off. That's the PFM. Yeah, turn off the PFM. Good times. Knowing the cubic foot of a sealed box for ideal performance is something I understand. Does it matter the shape of said box? That's a wonderful point, or a good question, I should say. That's a wonderful point. It's a good question. And years ago, when I used to build boxes, the guy that taught me, we would sit and we'd talk about boxes because it was a long time ago and we were bored. And after building hundreds of boxes, yeah, it does to some regard, depending on the makeup of the subwoofer. So if it's a conventional subwoofer where you have, like a normal motor structure subwoofer, air behind the speaker works better than air to the left and right of the speaker. So like if you were to take and make a cube, all right, and it was deep as opposed to wide, that there again typically would sound better than if you went narrow and wide. I don't think there's any like, no, it was just what we found over the years of building subwoofer enclosures is that when we built them deep, they would sound better as opposed to wide. Now, new shallow mount woofers are totally the opposite of that. Although we found that if you can build a deeper box for a shallow mount woofer, it does sound better. But that's those there again. I don't have any math or logic or anything else to physics to throw behind that other than practical experience. Bazooka tubes. Who doesn't like bazooka tubes? They're the best.
Yeah.
Okay. 2018 F-150 non-amplified. I have a Pioneer W40 NEX. Yep, Pioneer radio with a DM608. I have a Focal Flax 3-way component. Trying to be active as possible. My question is, should I run all speakers through the DSP? Yes. Yeah. You should totally run the speakers all through the DSP. So you got a Flax 3-way set. You got a DM608. DM608 is only 8 channels. Should have done audio control first. What do you do, especially if you're going to do rear speakers? There's a couple different options you can do here that aren't the worst. All right. And you could use channels 1 through 6 to power, or not actually channels 1 through 6 of the channels to power tweeter mid-range. All right. If you're trying to go full active. Then you have 2 mono channels. I think it's 5 and 6. Yeah, 5 and 6, I believe, because 7, 8. Either way, it's one of those pairs there. We have 2 mono channels. You can use one of those channels for subwoofer, and then, because it has 6 inputs, use one of those channels for rear. Just make it a left plus right into the rear. All right. And then it's just going to be like a mono signal into the rear. It's a left plus right into the rear because it's just for effect. So you don't necessarily need that. So you could just use one output to go to a two channels of an amplifier to power the rears, or use the DSP and the NEX to go stereo rear. But that's entirely up to you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, man. He's like,
what's up, guys? Isn't Fernando supposed to promote Focal while you promote Morel? So confusing. Oh, it's totally confusing. Yeah, right. You're true, because you do the, yeah, it is. Evening, gents. Another freaking Monday in the books. Not yet. I still got a lot of work to do. My night is not even started.
Yeah.
Who needs rears? Exactly. Question. I have an Alpine Halo ILF 509, which has time correction, 13-band EQ. Yeah, across it balance. Is it worth spending the extra money and getting an amp with a DSP? Yes. Yes, totally. Though it has a lot of really cool features, it's limited. It's limited on its performance. Now, will I take that over nothing? Yes. But if I have the option to do something with a DSP in it, I'd much rather do that. I'm going to get way better results. Hi, looking for a reasonable way to get a flat signal out of a 2005 Acura TSX premium system. Thank you so much. Reasonable way. Okay. So
Metra doesn't make nothing?
Okay, probably not. It's 2005 TSX. You mean like a dash kit? I figured somebody has to make a dash kit by now for that car. I mean, that's what I would do. I'd be on the hunt for a dash kit. Metra Online, something like that. Now, if there's no dash kit available for something like that, the first step is finding out how many channels there are to deal with. Because I can't make an accurate, like if you say I have 8 channels that I have to deal with, that's fine. We need an 8-channel DSP, or we need an amp that'll take 8 channels of input so that we can do what's called power for power or speaker for speaker, where we can take whatever's coming into it and go out. Or what is it that you're trying to improve upon? The other thing, too, is if it has a center channel, which it probably does, that makes things even more exciting because you have to include the center channel in whatever it is you do unless there's a way to shut it off. And some of those older Acuras, you could shut off the center channel, which is great. I would recommend doing that if you're going to go aftermarket. So, for example, you could do something as simple as a front stage upgrade. If you can turn off the center channel, you can go with a 5-channel amp that's like an audio control an audio control D51300, and run all your inputs into that and go active, tweeter, active, mid, sub. And if the center can shut off, you're golden. Now, if the center can't shut off, that's where things get weird, and we have to do a whole bunch of other nonsense. So, and speaking of audio control, you're good. You're good. That means you can change. There you go. I'm just waiting. Speaking of audio control, hey guys, the Audio Control Epicenter Mexican Edition is now available. If you'd like a cool artwork piece of audio control memorabilia / awesome Epicenter, check it out. It looks pretty cool, and hopefully we'll have one here soon to play with. You can find that at audiocontrol.com. I believe you can order it online at stingeroffroad.com. Hi, guys. After MasterTech, I'm redoing my system in my 01 RAM extended cab. Install Morel Component Tempo Ultras. Thinking of adding DSR1 and going active with an Rockford Fosgate P404 for the rear fill and tweeter on a P504 4-channel mids. Okay, so DSR1, definitely way to go. Love it. Dodge Ram. 01, why not just get a new radio? I think would be the first thing I'd say. I would strongly lean towards getting a new radio as opposed to trying to integrate into the factory radio. You can still do a DSR1. I get it if you want to keep it. It's cool. The DSR1 is only 4 channels of output, though. Keep that in mind. And it's limited as far as what it can do. One of those options is a active front stage, rear, and sub, because it's not like you can mono one of the channels. So I wouldn't go active rear because I would include the sub and the DSP. So I would just do, you could go passively active for the rear if you wanted, but 4-channel on the front, 4-channel on the rear, go passive or go biamp. Either way, biamp through the crossover, which is really nice. That's actually pretty cool to do because then you still keep your level control for the tweeter / mid-range combination. Then you'll have 2 channels to just go to the subwoofer. Okay. Should I go with the KS 2 3/4 mid-range or the KS CS 3/4 inch tweeters in dash, or is there something you'd recommend that's better running on a factory power and a 2008 GMC? Definitely don't want to do the tweeters. No, you want some form of mid-range in the dash, that 2008 GMC. It's a wideband speaker from the factory, so you want to make sure you match that with a wideband speaker. If you just put a 3/4 inch tweeter in there, you're going to have a giant hole in the sound that you will not be able to fill. It will sound terrible. So some form of a 2 3/4 inch mid-range up there is what you want to replace it with.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah.
You sure? You having fun over there?
Yeah.
You're just like studying so hard.
I'm trying to find them, all of them.
Just trying to just overwhelm me. Looking for advice. Okay, on what to use to add a sub to a 2020 Hyundai Sonata and difficulty meter on doing so. Okay. Advice. Audio Control makes 3 high-level to low-level adapters. They make the LC1i Pro. No, LC1. What is it? Jesus. Hold on. Got him right here. So Audio Control makes the LC1i, LC2i Pro, and the Epicenter Micro. Now, all of these are great for doing what you're asking. They all take over 40 volts of input. If you're going to disconnect the factory subwoofer, They have load resistors built into them so that it'll load the factory radio back, or factory amp or factory radio back down. If you're just tying into the rear speakers, then you won't have to worry about load. It'll just work. The difference between the two is this is just their line driver high level to low level adapter. More or less their basic high level to low level adapter has high voltage input, and it's what goes in, what comes out. The LC2i adds AccuBass, which is there to fix bass roll off from dynamic EQ. And then you have the Epicenter, which the Epicenter is designed to just go in there and give you more bass. This is helpful if there's a factory crossover in there. The Epicenter will help to get around that. So one of these three will definitely work. Now there's also one other tool on the market that is good as well, and that is the Kicker key lock. The nice thing about the Kicker key lock, it's a steeper learning curve because you actually have to let it run. So it's got a DSP built into it. So you have to download some tracks. It's not a simple, it needs power. These all need power. But it has to do its processing, and then that will go in. And if there's any like crossover points or equalization that's weird, it'll fix all of those. So there's 4 line output converters. Now keep in mind, you could also just use an amplifier that has a line output converter built into it. Now 2 amplifiers that would be good to use are one, the Audio Control LC 1.800. It has an LC2i Pro built into it. Or you could go with, it's just an LC2 built into it because it doesn't have load resistors. So if you do that, you will need load resistors. Or you could do the Key 500.1 if you're doing something small back there. And that Key 500.1 has a key lock built into it, so it'll go ahead and DEQ the system for you. 2023 Cadillac Escalade 36 speakers. Wow, that stereo you should never touch. Correct. Do not touch that. Do not do anything in that car. Don't unplug nothing. You will get a check engine light if you unplug a speaker. Yeah, just leave it alone. Sell the car and buy an older one. Is there any ideal setting for the subwoofer level on my head unit? My JVC level is plus 12 and minus 35. Depending on what you want to do with your subwoofer, if you have some way, so if you have some form of distortion detection built into the amplifier that you're putting in, then what you'll probably see is if you were to play like a negative 10 dB track, at 40 hertz, negative 10 dB, it's turned the bass level up all the way. You'll probably not have to do anything to the gain at all. If you were to set it at 0 dB, which you'd never do, which you could, you'd probably get to +3 on the volume knob before you'd start to see that little light come on. The reality of it is with it at plus 12, the gain should be set very low, because you're with it at plus 12, the signal output is already clipping past 0 because 0 is +3. So anything past that is over that. What's up, guys? Hello from dinner. What's up, Phantom Chris? Phantom Chris is hanging out with all the Phantoms just up the street. He's too cool to come by and say hi. I understand. They have them running around like chickens with their head cut off. I'm joking. Hopefully you and Mel will get to stop by and say hi. And the rest of the guys, of course. I'm not picky. I know you wish you could be here. Good evening, boys. Are any interface products required to install an amp into a 2022 F250 with the basic audio system? I was going to keep the head unit. Nope. 2022 F250 with no BO, no nothing. It's just 4 wires coming out of actually 5 pairs of wires coming out if it's got the center channel and the dash. pack-audio.com makes a T-harness for that car. It is going to need load resistors, so you'll either need a device that has load resistors built into it, or pick up a set of audio control LGD greens, which I believe is the 20. You'll need a set of those, 2 sets of those to put on to load down that factory radio. Now, for those of you guys who are going, what? He keeps talking about load resistors. What are load resistors? Load resistors are little tiny boxes. There's some right above my head. And what they do is they mimic the resistance that the speaker has on the amplifier. So the amplifier is looking for a minimal amount of resistance so that it, 1, performs properly, and 2, doesn't go into protection. But the more important one is so that it sounds good. Okay, so when you don't properly load down a amplifier, the sound can get really bad. So I thought the DSR1 was 8 channels of output. It is 8 channels of output, but it's not a independent, discrete 8 channels of output. So you have 8 channels, and 2 of those channels are always going to be subwoofer. So technically you have 6 channels. Okay, if you're going to put a 4-channel amp in the front, a 4-channel amp in the back, I guess you could use the radio, but I don't think it gives you that option in the settings. So you'd have to pick one and then change all your crossovers to do something like that.
What's that, Eddie?
Because if you haven't gone through and looked at the system diagrams that they give you, it's not like a normal DSP. It asks you to pick a system. I mean, you can then go in manually and tell it what to do, but it's only 8 channels, so you'd have to use your radio for the sub, I guess. Shallow sub recommendations for an F-150 underseat 10-inch. I have Memphis 1000. I'm thinking DD Audio LS 6000 or Kicker L7Ts. Yeah, I mean, we've worked with the L7Ts. I haven't done anything with the DD Audio. The L7Ts are really nice. They work in a super small box. You could probably fit 4 of them underneath the seat if you wanted. Definitely could fit 3. 2 would be fine. But have you guys ever installed a DSR1 with the CH3 iData and a RAM 2500 without premium audio? My RAM is a 2008, so that's why I asked to add subs and replace all factory speakers. Yeah, we do it all the time. That's a very common installation in that one, because the 2500s, typically when we get them, they don't have the premium audio system. Make sure you follow the instructions on that, because you have to do a process to reflash the radio to amplified, because that's what it's doing. It's basically telling the factory radio that it's connected to the Alpine system, and then once it understands that, then it will go off and give you the sound that it wants through the DSR1. Back in 1987, I picked up a pair of 6.5-inch bazooka tubes and connected them to a Pro Series amp. Here I am 34 years later with audio control Morels and a 10-inch. Love this addiction. Man, that is, 87. I remember that. Yeah. 2020 Mustang BO. Want to upgrade head unit. Lots of options for Tesla screens. Ugh. Do any of these Android head units sound good compared to Alpine Kenwood? Can I keep center channel with Sync 3? So, no, none of them sound anything like an Alpine or Kenwood. It's just not going to happen. They're trying. They're getting close, but they're not there yet. Nothing integrates into a BO system as of right now. Right now, you can't do that. It doesn't work. So you're going to need amplifiers, because you're going to have to bypass that factory Mustang BO system. Today, that's what you're going to have to do. Now, in a couple months, that won't be the case, because iData will have their BO adapter out. And the new iData BO adapter allows you to replace the radio and keep the BO system, in which case, yes, you'll be able to keep your center channel. But Sync 3 has nothing to do with that. Sync 3 is only the the communication crap. The amplifier is totally separate from all that, because you can pull out the amplifier and still keep the factory radio as sync 3. So it data-wise, yes, it's all connected, but it really has nothing to do with the amplifier. As far as Tesla screen, yeah, there's nothing. Got an odd one for you. Okay. Have a 16-edge Sport with the Sony system. Instead of upgrading the amp, could I just install speakers that are lower watts to get more mids and high volume easier for me to do? You're shaking your head no.
I'm like,
oh, you're trying to wake up? What are you doing?
no, yeah.
You're just trying to focus your eyes?
Up, yeah.
Got an odd one. Okay, a Sony system. Instead of upgrading the amp, could I install speakers and lower watts? Honestly, I maybe. I mean, okay, so there's two options available to you if you want to do something simple like this and maybe have good result. One is Focal makes the Ford plug-and-plays that are screaming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you also have the Power Bass plug-and-plays.
Yeah.
If you want to try this idea, one of those two speakers would be the ones I would go with. Because if it doesn't work, you could always, do more to it.
I would say with the Focals, he want more mids and highs. So
I just don't know how it's, that's a weird
that's
one.
just weird. No, it's just not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you can only get so much.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, yeah, but see, it's not always just more efficient speakers because he's saying just needs more efficient speakers. Not always, man. That doesn't always.
Well, I mean,
because
those factory speakers are.
Well, yeah, but they could be more efficient, but you still have the Sony EQ curve to deal with.
Yeah. So
it's not like it's a flat response and you just put a different speaker in there. It's just going to be louder. It's not like that. The Sony is an EQ'd system that's trying to fix problems that the Sony speakers in that whole car is giving you. So, yeah, the Focals are more efficient. So with that logic, it should sound better, but might not.
Why not?
I mean, the only time we do something like that is someone came in with all blown speakers, and they're like, I just need something to fix that. Then that's what we would do. And it would just be like, here you go. We're back in sound again. Along the line of Tank's question, I don't remember what that was. Is it true that some head units won't put out the max pre-out voltage unless the sub-level is maxed out? I have never ran into that. Like when we used to do radio dynos, we never had that. No, very rarely did we run into anything like that. We haven't tested any of the newer radios that actually don't have preamp sections now because a lot of the radios just don't have preamps. It's just a high level to low level in there. So, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. JVC Kenwood has always been 3. When you're at 3 on the volume, that's where it's at. So,
yeah.
You okay?
Mm-hmm.
What do you got? What are you looking up?
This one.
Do any 5-channel amps build in load resistors? Yes.
Built-in load resistor.
Audison has it. I think Helix now has it. And then some of the Moscone amplifiers have it. The reality is they're not that big of a deal to install. So it's like, if that's something that you're worried about, don't be, because they're really simple to add in. I mean, they're just these little things like this. They have inputs, they have outputs. Like here's one that actually has the inputs and outputs built onto it. So they just, this would go if you're doing most high level amplifiers have some form of an input. Whether it be RCA or the audio controls use mini Phoenix connectors. So you just unscrew those, screw these wires into it, and then this harness would go here, and all your speaker wires from your radio would attach to this, and that's it. That's this little guy here just chills out. This is the green here. This is the most common one. This is what most cars use now, is the 20 ohm resistor. So,
hello, Michael.
if you want something that looks really attractive, like if you want like a really awesome looking load resistor because you're building something cool, check out the Kiss load from Kicker. That thing is badass looking. Yeah. It looks like a small amplifier. It's pretty cool. I like to call it the load resistor grenade. So if you have something that just is not like it's picky, that solves picky.
Yeah. What's up from the UK?
What's up? Thank you, audio control. And there you go. Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you got? I just click on one.
There you go.
Okay. I just looked at the specs on my subs. Definitely dual twos. My installer said the amp can't be wired lower because of the subs. So dual twos can only get you, all right, so one dual two subwoofer is either going to be a 4 ohm or a 1 ohm load. Now, if you have two of those, that means you have either a 0.5 ohm or a 2 ohm load. So most mono amplifiers will do 2 ohm. So in which case you'd wire them up as 4 ohm and 4 ohm, and that'll give you, then you bring all the positive, that'll give you a 2 ohm load. Now, if your amplifier does a 1 ohm load max power, then obviously you're not going to get the power out of it that you're hoping for. But yeah, ohm load's very important.
Hey, Bruno. Thank you, man.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, no doubt.
Obrigado. That's what they say, right?
I have no idea. I don't know. I've just been answering questions. I feel like I've been your show pony. Okay, Dean, I know you're a Morel fanatic, but Dyna Audio is the way I'm leaning. That's a good way to lean. Good way to lean. I would lean into that too. Due to cost and my current situation, I'm looking between a Morel Nano and the Audison or the Dyna Audio Esotan 3-way. Your thoughts? Well, the Nano is purpose driven. They're great sounding speakers. There's no question about it. The Nano sounds better than the regular Virtuos. So I mean, it's pretty sexy there. But there again, I mean, they're both awesome. I'm a big fan of Dyne too. I can't afford Dyne, so because I don't know anybody there. It's really what it comes down to. But you know, the Nano is super shallow. So if you need something that is super shallow, definitely go with the Nano. If you want regular motor structure and the Dyne is a regular motor structure, go that way. I got nothing. Those are both great speakers. I'm not angry. I have a 2010 Hyundai Elantra, and I'm having difficulty finding brackets for my replacement speakers. What can you recommend? Making your own. I mean, that's typically, I know, that's what we would do. Not every car there is a bracket for. Metra makes probably the biggest repository of brackets to put in a car. If Metra doesn't have it, then we make it from scratch. Router table and some plastic. Blown PVC, which is typically what people use because it's easier to work with. You can find them at sign shops. Usually you can pick up some scraps, or 10x10. You can also get it on Etsy as well as Amazon. Both sell plastic. Mike.
Where is it?
You know, it's funny. We won't see Mike until November.
Oh, they're not coming.
Well, no, why would they? Well,
yeah, right.
I mean, we'll see him in SEMA. That's about it.
Is not Museway coming?
Is
not Museway coming to Orlando?
I have no idea. But he wouldn't come because he's not a mute. They don't. Yeah. I have. Did you just literally put the same question twice? Yeah. Jesus, thanks. Come on, man. Jesus. You're running it. You're killing time.
All right.
Boo. I know. Okay. Out of the prefab boxes, Fox, Scar, MTI, etc., you've heard in a 2019 Ram, what has sounded the best as far as an SQ build? And what subs were
they pair it with?
Huh.
SQ.
Dude, Sajecki had so many different boxes made for his truck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember who the last guy was that he went with, but he raised the seat and put, because he had what, T1s in there?
Mm-hmm.
Were they full-size T110s?
Yeah. Full size.
Yeah. So he started out with all of the, well, not the Scar box, but he started out with an MTI, didn't like the Fox. He had some other guy, I don't remember who it was, make him a custom box for some Rockford T1s, not the shallow ones. Raised the seat up.
Yep.
And that thing sounded amazing.
I mean, MTI has, plenty of.
There again,
options.
SQ is the tough one, man, because
what's SQ?
Exactly. Yeah, what is SQ? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, most people just want to. I have a 2008 crew cab Silverado, no bows. I'm going to put a subwoofer and amp. I plan to add a 4-channel amp for the doors later. Would the LC7i be good LOC for this? Okay. The answer is no. The reality is no. Here's why. If you have a 2008 Chevy crew cab, if you go out right now and you open up the driver's door, you're going to hear dun, 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 dun. If you put an LC7i in there and you put an amplifier on top of that, when you go out and open that door, you're going to hear dong, 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 and you're going to wet your pants. All right? The problem with that car is there's no way to control that chime. Now, you can go into the radio, and you can turn it down some, but not all. If you got a guy that you know at the Chevy dealership, they may be able to go in there and turn it down even more, because usually if you notice the level stops and it doesn't go all the way to 0 because they don't want you to turn it all the way off. Now, if you can get them to do that, LC7i is the way to go. If you can't get them to do that, then you're going to need something with an EQ built into it, because you're going to need a channel of that EQ to fix that dong.
Yeah.
At that point, get the Audio Control DM608. That would be a better move, because then you could go in and adjust that. That's my thoughts. Metro Altsema, as you got. All right, hold on.
As you got some crazy van outside. Anyway, with dual voice
P3s. How would you wire 3? Oh, I would never wire 3. I don't ever do 3. 2, 4, 6, 8, never 3. Yeah.
We're on low.
Yeah, it's a weird home load. Doesn't amplifiers. Might have to make a trip to see you guys. I mean, I can wait till November.
That would be great.
I mean, it would be great.
Him here.
It would, but
yeah.
I mean, the reality is we're all busy. He's probably as busy as we are.
Yeah.
November is going to be here before we know it.
Yeah. No,
which is scary, but because it's already April. Jesus. Custom door chime should be an option. I agree. Fix that dong. I hear the Jaws theme song. Dong dong. Dong dong. Dong 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 dong.
Okay.
Very helpful data option. All right. For the BO Mustang in a few months. So then do I have to buy a certain head unit for the car or any double din? I plan to add I do plan to add amplifiers. So also. All right. Well, if you plan on adding amplifiers, trash all of it. Just go with a regular iData connection, any radio that'll take iData, and call it a day. Get the MFT1 kit and be done with it. Yeah. Because screw the BO. Just tear it all out and put it in an amplifier. So if you get a new radio, all right, and you don't want to keep I get it. It's like I kind of want to work through it. What a pain in the ass. Just do it all at once. Because eventually you're gonna have to tear it all out and run RCA. So then you have to take it apart. Let me tell you what, pulling that radio out of that dash sucks. It's not fun. It's It's not something I want to do more than once. So if you're planning on doing it, yes, get something that's iData compatible. The current RR or RR2 will work in there with the MFT1 kit if you have the 8-inch screen, which I'm assuming you do. We've actually put the big floating Kenwood 10-inch there. If you're not a floating fan, then any shallow radio like the 958 would be cool. Yeah. And then just put your amps in, call it a day. Grab the T-harness for the corner so you can get all your speaker wires. Done. Life is good. Ugh. Really? No. They don't have anything, man. That's the tough one. The QX60. Ugh. Speaker for speaker. Just figure out how many channels you have and plug in a DSP. Yeah. So that's Infinity, right? The QX. Yeah. So I thought nobody makes nothing for those.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, it's 2015 too. So yeah.
That's good. Power for power.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Craig. It's okay. You don't have to go anymore, man. We're at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know. You good?
That's crazy. Yes, it's 1 hour. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you
That's a
basically
lot.
sat there and read your computer the whole time.
I know.
And tortured me with the questions. So.
Look, that's a lot.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, they ask questions. I try to answer as many of them as I can. If I didn't get to your question, I apologize. We try to answer as many of them as we can. If you're mad that yours didn't get, it's this guy's fault right here. Send him bribes at Fernando Lopez. Anyways.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't worry. We'll be back Saturday to answer more questions. And, of course, you can always find us on Instagram. That's a great place to ask us questions throughout the day. We usually pop in 3 or 4 times a week just to tell you what's going on in the Bay and try to answer a few questions while we're there. DNF Tool Drawer is a place you can go and find all the cool tools that we sell or we use in our install bay. These guys right here. You can also pick up the world famous IRTA2. A lot of the questions you guys ask, the IRTA2 will solve for you. But there again, we also have a ton of the tools that we use in our day-to-day. Links showing you. DNFswag.com is a place you can go pick up all your cool paraphernalia as far as shirts that say 5-star or Jeff Smith. Lots of people were checking out the purple Jeff Smith shirt this weekend. I
really like that one.
I got to order you a purple one. That's it, guys.
Conrad, thank you so much, buddy. Yes, I totally forgot to send you a message and say thank you. Yes,
of course I gave you
Dean gave me this. Yes, that was awesome, man. Thank you.
He was coming at me like, bro, they literally hand delivered them to me and like we're like, these are for Fernando, and I was like,
thank you, buddy.
Good,
I appreciate it.
I don't want them. We need a Mike shirt, dude. Yeah. I'm wearing his right now.
It's
It's my night shirt at the moment. So I just think of Mike as I go to bed. Oh yeah, baby. Just kidding. Anyways, you guys go forth, be merry, have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll see you guys when we see you. Have a great. See ya.
Bye, guys.